Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's story marks a major turning point, Toan's journey to regain his memories. After giving the kind old woman a warm winter coat, Diem made a bold decision to take Toan and return to her farm to start a new life. In response to this unexpected proposal, the old woman didn't blame or try to hold them back. Instead, she smiled and blessed them both. Her support was the key that opened the door to a future for Diem and Toan. How will the emotional dynamics of the characters unfold in this meaningful farewell? Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the exciting developments coming up next. Let me know if you'd like to make any adjustments. Diem and Toan were standing by the corn stall, surrounded by people buying corn, the air filled with laughter and chatter. They exchanged words as Toan occasionally held a basket of grilled corn, while Diem stood beside him, smiling as she watched the happy customers. Even though selling corn was hard work, both of them still felt content in these simple moments. During a break, Diem looked at Toan with a gentle gaze. "You know, I think we could go back to Thu's farm and live there for a while. It's peaceful there, and it could help you recover your memories." Her words were soft, but filled with sincerity. Toan looked at her, a strange feeling rising within him. He wanted to believe her, but his memories were still too blurry, and he didn't know what to do. "I also think you should go talk to her once," Diem continued. "Don't let things stay unresolved." Toan remained silent, sensing the worry in her voice, but he wasn't ready to make a decision. "So after we finish selling the corn, let's go buy you a jacket." Diem smiled. "We'll also get a jacket for the old woman who saved you. That's something I want to do because she's helped you so much." Toan nodded, feeling warmth in his heart as he heard these words. But there were still so many things he needed to think about. Let me know if you'd like to adjust anything. When they walked into the clothing store, the warm atmosphere and the display of coats made Toan feel more at ease. Diem pulled him toward a coat and gently said, "Try this one. I think it'll fit you perfectly." Toan looked at the coat, its warm colors perfect for the winter. He listened to her and went into the fitting room. Diem stood outside her eyes, never leaving Toan. When he stepped out, she smiled and immediately went over to adjust the coat on him. "It fits you perfectly," she said, her expression pleased. She straightened the sleeves and smoothed the fabric to make sure everything was neat. Toan felt her careful attention and couldn't help but feel warmed by it. "I'm going to find a coat for the old woman." Diem continued, "You keep trying the clothes, I'll be right back." Toan nodded and watched her walk toward another section. He turned to the mirror, looking at himself in the new coat, feeling more comfortable and warmer than ever before. A while later, Diem came back with a warm coat for the old woman in her hands. She finished with the salesperson and returned to Toan. He had picked out a pair of pants, his face showing clear satisfaction. "I really like these pants," he said, his gaze a little shy. Finally, Diem paid the cashier, her bright smile shining as she looked at Toan's happy face. In her heart, everything good was slowly falling into place. Let me know if you need further adjustments. At the old woman's house, she was finishing up, digging a row of vegetables. The light breeze blew through the leaves, rustling, and although the atmosphere was peaceful, the work was still tough. Toan and Diem arrived and saw the old woman immersed in her work. Toan looked at her with deep respect while Diem smiled and walked over to her. "What are you doing, Grandma?" Diem asked gently. "Oh, you two are back. I'm just finishing up some work," the old woman replied, continuing to dig. Toan stepped closer, watching her work and feeling a deep sense of gratitude. Diem gently pulled him toward a wooden chair nearby and whispered, "Doesn't she let you help her? You could assist her." But the old woman only smiled and told them to go inside the kitchen and rest. Diem glanced at Toan before speaking again. "Why don't you two go into the kitchen? She'll finish up soon and join us." Toan nodded and walked into the kitchen. Not long after the old woman came inside, her hands still covered in dirt. Diem took the pot of cassava that was simmering on the stove and asked if she needed any help. The old woman stood by the stove eyes on the boiling pot and nodded slightly. "Just let her pour the water out," she said. Diem hurriedly followed her instructions, taking out the soft cooked pieces of cassava. The old woman returned to the pot, adding some more water to dry it out. Toan sat nearby, curiously watching the pot, occasionally glancing over at Diem as she focused on her task. The whole room was filled with a peaceful stillness, broken only by the sound of water flowing and the bubbling cassava. After she finished taking out all the cassava, Diem turned to Toan and smiled. "I think it's delicious. Grandma will love it," Diem said, placing the cassava into a basket. The old woman sat down in a chair, took off her boots, and changed into slippers. Diem looked at her and once again picked up the coat she had prepared for her, helping her put it on to keep warm. "Try it on and see if it fits," Diem said, handing her the coat. The old woman looked at the coat and gently put it on. Her eyes lit up with satisfaction as it fit perfectly. Diem smiled quietly, proud of her choice. The old woman stood up, looked at the coat she was wearing, then turned to Diem, her eyes sparkling with joy. "Thank you, dear. You chose the perfect coat. It fits so well. You're truly thoughtful." Diem didn't say anything, just smiled softly. She looked at the old woman, feeling an unexpected warmth in her heart. This was someone she had always admired, someone who had been by Toan's side through all his struggles, offering love and care without any conditions. And now she felt truly happy to be able to do something, even if it was small for her. "You look beautiful in it," Diem said, her eyes shining with pride. "I'm so glad you like it." The old woman turned around, took a few steps, feeling the warmth of the new coat, and then sat down by the stove, feeling lighter and at peace. Diem stood by, silently watching her, her heart filled with love and gratitude. She understood that sometimes small gestures like this could bring about huge changes in someone's life. In that moment between the three of them, it wasn't just family love, it was also the love, respect, and appreciation they each had for one another. Diem understood that no matter how difficult things got, love and support would always be the thread that binds everyone together. Let me know if you need any further tweaks. Diem stood beside the old woman, her gaze full of determination and care. She had carefully chosen her words for this important conversation she had been thinking about for a long time. Today, seeing the old woman happy in her new coat, Diem felt she had done something small to repay the kindness the old woman had shown her. But there was still something important she needed to say. A decision she wanted to share with the woman she considered a second grandmother, Grandma. Diem spoke softly, her gaze gentle. "I have something I want to discuss with you." The old woman looked up at her, narrowing her eyes slightly and smiling kindly. "What is it, dear?" "Go ahead, I'm listening." Diem took a deep breath, not because she was scared, but because she wanted to be sure she was saying the right thing. These words were a big decision, not only for Toan, but for her own life as well. "I've been thinking a lot about Toan and me. I want to take him to my farm, the place where I've lived before. We will live there together, start a family, and I believe it will be the place that will help him recover his memory." Diem said, her eyes shining with belief. The old woman looked at her, not rushing to respond, but her gaze was filled with deep contemplation. She knew Toan was struggling with memory issues, and she understood that what he needed wasn't just time, but also protection and love. She knew that Diem was the one who could help Toan through this phase, and her offer filled the old woman's heart with warmth and genuine care for Toan. "You're right, Diem." The old woman smiled, her voice still warm as ever. "My son has been through a lot of pain, and I understand better than anyone what a person needs when facing such things. You want to take Toan to your farm, to live, to have a peaceful space where he can recover his memories. I fully agree with your idea." Diem felt a weight lift from her chest. She could feel the old woman's agreement, and her words made her more confident in her decision. The old woman continued, "Your farm is definitely a good place for you both to rebuild your lives. A peaceful place, away from the disruptions of the outside world. It might help Toan remember everything, at least some of it. And I believe that with your love, everything will be all right." Diem smiled, her eyes full of gratitude. She knew that the old woman not only saw the difficulties Toan was facing, but also understood the importance of love and care in healing the heart. A feeling of peace and relief washed over her. The old woman had always been someone who understood her and stood by her, supporting every decision she made. "That's great, dear. Thank you for thinking about this. I also hope that Toan will regain his memories, and no matter what, I'll always be here ready to help you both if needed. But I also understand that you and Toan need your own space to start over, to find the right path for yourselves." The old woman said, her voice giving Diem strength. "I will always be a solid support for you both. No matter where I am, I will think of you and Toan. Believe that with care, love, and persistence, Toan will recover and find the missing pieces of his memory." She added, her eyes bright with hope. Diem felt her heart filled with gratitude and love. She took the old woman's hand as if to pour all her heart into that gesture. "Thank you so much, Grandma. I know Toan will be happy to have you by his side, and I'll do everything I can to help him remember everything so he can live a new life," Diem said with conviction in her voice. The old woman nodded, her gaze filled with trust in Diem and Toan and in the love they shared. "You're a very good person, Diem. You'll make it. And I'm so happy to see that you and Toan can have a new beginning." The three of them sat together, not saying anything more, but the understanding and warmth between them was all that was needed in that moment. Diem knew that though the road ahead would be full of challenges, with love, patience, and determination, she and Toan would overcome everything. And more importantly, they would build a happy family together, where love would be the only thing that remained. The old woman's words were like a blessing, a strong belief in the future, and Diem understood that no matter what, family would always be where she found peace and happiness. Let me know if you'd like to make any adjustments. Finally, after much thought and the heartfelt encouragement from Diem, the old woman agreed to her plan. A plan Diem had been nurturing for a long time. The old woman wasn't just the one who took care of Toan when he was in danger, but she had also become a second grandmother to Diem. Her agreement was an important turning point, not only giving Toan a chance to regain his memories, but also giving Diem and Toan the opportunity to build a new life together on her farm. The old woman sat quietly, her gaze distant, as if reflecting on the past and everything that had happened. Diem stood beside her, holding her hand, her eyes filled with respect and tenderness. They sat in silence for a moment, just looking at each other, as if to feel the bond of family and gratitude between them. "You know, Diem," the old woman finally spoke, her voice gentle but full of depth. "I've lived a long life, and I understand that sometimes in life we have to embrace change to find happiness. Toan has suffered a lot, and so have you. But I believe that if you and Toan can be together, rebuild what's been lost, everything will be better." Diem felt warmth in her words, and her heart stirred. The old woman had always been by Toan's side, caring for him, and now she was continuing to support her in this important decision. It felt like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders, and she felt lighter than ever. The old woman continued, "I know you and Toan will face many challenges, but I believe in your love. When you both have love and patience, nothing is impossible. Taking Toan to your farm is a good decision. You both will have the space to reflect, recover memories, and create a new life." Diem nodded, her eyes sparkling with tears. "Thank you, Grandma. I know this is a big decision, but I believe it's the right path. Toan and I will overcome everything together. I promise I will take care of him and never let him feel alone." The old woman smiled, her eyes gleaming with joy and happiness to see Diem so sincere. "You're a good girl. I'm so happy to see you and Toan moving forward on this path together. I'll always be here, no matter where I am. I'll be your family." Toan sat quietly beside them, his heart heavy, but also feeling lighter than ever. He looked at the old woman, and Diem, his heart full of emotion. He knew the old woman had agreed because she saw the love and determination in both of their eyes. He felt lucky to have her and Diem by his side, two people who were always strong pillars in his life. When Diem turned to look at Toan, her eyes full of hope, she asked, "What do you think? Do you agree with this decision?" Toan looked at her, his eyes filled with uncertainty, but also with trust in the future. He couldn't refuse Thu's offer anymore. He had doubted, he had wondered whether he could ever regain his memories and live as he once did. But Diem's patience and love had given him renewed faith. He wanted to believe in her help, in the love she had for him, and more importantly, he wanted to create a new future, a new opportunity for himself and for their love. "You're right," Toan said, his voice more determined. "We'll go to your farm. I'll start over with you. I'll regain my memories, and we'll live a new life together." Diem smiled gently, holding his hand. "Thank you, Toan. I know we will succeed." The old woman looked at them, her eyes full of pride. "I will always support you both. Go and do what you need to do. I wish you all the best." The three of them sat together in silence in a space filled with peace. Diem and Toan looked at each other, their hearts beating as one, while the old woman sat beside them like a wise companion on the difficult journey ahead. They knew that no matter how challenging the road ahead would be, with love and persistence, they would overcome it together. In the end, Toan had made the right decision, not just for himself, but for everyone around him, and for the love he had. He wouldn't let the memories he had lost stop his happiness. He would start over with Diem, with the old woman, those who had always been by his side loving him. The love between Toan and Diem would be the driving force to help them regain the missing pieces of his memories and build a happy family together in love and care. Let me know if you'd like to make any adjustments